Claude, ChatGPT, and Jasper all claim to be the AI assistant worth paying for right now. So I ran the same 5 tests against all 3: coding benchmarks, speed, context limits, cost, and deployment, to see which claim actually survives contact with the numbers. The biggest surprise in the whole comparison is that Claude wins the actual coding benchmark by nearly 7 points and still isn't my overall pick. This is the test that decides who you'd actually trust inside a real codebase. On SWE Bench Verified, the benchmark built from real GitHub issues instead of toy problems, Claude Opus 4.5 scores 80.9%, and GPT 5.1 comes in at 74.2%. The lead holds on the smaller tests too. On Human Evil, Claude scores 97.3% against ChatGPT's 94.2%. On MBPP, Basic Python Programming Problems, Claude scores 96.1% to ChatGPT's 93.4%. Neither of those gaps is enormous on its own, 3 points here, 3 points there, but stack all 3 benchmarks together and Claude wins every single one. Jasper isn't part of this conversation at all. It's a marketing content tool, not a coding model. So there's no published figure for any of these benchmarks, and there's no reason to expect one. If your job involves shipping code, this test alone tells you Claude is doing something ChatGPT isn't quite matching yet. That's a clear, community-reported gap of nearly 7 points on a benchmark specifically designed to test real-world bug fixing. But a benchmark win doesn't mean much if the tool feels sluggish every time you use it, and that's exactly where the next test flips the story. I pulled every benchmark number both companies will actually put their name behind, along with the community sentiment that fills in what they won't publish. So this is coming from the evidence, not a spec sheet. Coding quality means nothing if you're sitting there waiting on a response every single time you ask a question. According to community benchmark testing, ChatGPT's GPT 5.1 gets to its first token in 1.8 seconds. Claude Opus 4.5 takes 3.2 seconds for the same task. Claude's 3.2 seconds isn't slow in absolute terms, it's still a usable, competitive number. But in rapid-fire sessions, where you're firing off quick questions and iterating in real time, that 1.4-second difference is the kind of thing you feel in your hands before you can even explain why. ChatGPT wins this one cleanly, and it's the first real crack in Claude's lead from Test 1. Jasper doesn't have a comparable time-to-first token figure because its speed gets measured in time to draft inside marketing workflows, not raw model response time, so it sits this one out entirely. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. That's a 1.4-second gap on every single query, which barely registers once, but adds up fast across a full day of back and forth prompting. If you're feeding an AI a huge codebase or a long document, this is the number that decides whether it can actually hold the whole thing in its head at once. ChatGPT's context window sits at 400,000 tokens. Claude's sits at 200,000 tokens. That's exactly double, and it matters for anyone trying to analyze an entire repository or a lengthy contract in a single pass instead of chopping it into pieces. The output side tells a similar story. ChatGPT publishes a 128,000 token output window, meaning it can generate a genuinely long, single response without cutting itself off. Claude doesn't have a published output limit to compare against that number, so this is a case where the available data only points one direction. But if your work regularly involves whole repo analysis or long document processing, ChatGPT's larger window is a real, measurable advantage, not a marketing footnote. Jasper's document tools don't expose a comparable context limit at all, so there's nothing to score here on its side. 200,000 tokens is still plenty for the overwhelming majority of everyday tasks, emails, short scripts, single-file code reviews. Stick with me because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Here's where it gets interesting because on the surface, this test is a dead heat. Claude Pro costs $20 a month. ChatGPT Plus costs $20 a month. But once you look at usage limits, the story splits. On Claude's free tier, you get 10 to 15 messages per session. Step up to max 5x at $100 a month, and Claude allows up to 225 messages per 5-hour window. Go all the way to max 20x at $200 a month, and that jumps to up to 900 messages per 5-hour window. Community reporting says that same $20 entry tier from Claude tends to offer higher usage limits than ChatGPT Plus, which makes Claude the better value pick, specifically for heavy daily users, even though the sticker price is identical. Jasper plays in a completely different pricing tier because it's built for teams, not individuals. The creator plan runs $39 per seat per month. The Pro plan jumps to $59 per seat per month, and business pricing is custom. So this test lands as a tie on Claude versus ChatGPT's entry price, with Claude pulling ahead specifically for anyone who's going to hammer the tool all day long. Same price, same entry point, genuine tie on paper. That's real money, but it's buying a different kind of tool entirely, one built around brand voice enforcement and marketing workflows, rather than general coding or writing assistance. The last test is about where you can actually use these tools and what they can do beyond typing text back and forth. ChatGPT covers text, vision, voice, and image generation, plus deep file analysis. Claude covers text and vision, full stop, no voice, no built-in image generation. That's a real gap in versatility if you want one assistant that can also talk to you or generate visuals on the fly. On deployment, both Claude and ChatGPT ship web apps, desktop apps, mobile apps, and full API access. Claude leans into AWS, GCP, and Azure integrations, which matters if your company's infrastructure already lives there. ChatGPT leans hard into the Microsoft ecosystem, which matters if your company runs on that stack instead. ChatGPT wins this test on sheer breadth, more modalities, more integrations, more ways to actually plug it into your day. Jasper is different again. It's a browser-first SaaS platform with no desktop app and no general API access, though it does offer image generation through its own modules. That's fine if you're only ever working inside Jasper's dashboard, but it's a real limitation if you wanted to build custom tooling around it. Claude's case comes. Here is where ChatGPT clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here's where Jasper clearly pulls ahead of the field. Claude's case comes. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.